the prisoner of ice and fire. The chamber was silent, colder than space, lit only by the soft pulse of bioluminescent veins running through the alien walls. Elias Wren knelt in the center, shackled at the wrists and ankles, muscles twitching from the aftershock of neural restraints. His breath formed faint crystals in the freezing air. He didn't speak. Not yet. A door irised open without sound. Queen Seryxa entered. She didn't walk so much as glide, robes trailing like liquid silver, four fingers on each hand clasped in silent contemplation. Her obsidian eyes, devoid of whites or pupils, locked onto him, not with curiosity, but calculation. The scent of ozone and sterile decay clung to her like perfume. "Human," she said, her voice melodic but absent of warmth. "Captain Elias Wren of the Terran Flameborn Resistance. 71 confirmed Dominion kills. Saboteur. Tactician. Survivor." He looked up slowly, one brow lifting. "You forgot pain in the ass." Her head tilted, slightly. Such defiance. "Even here." "I've seen better prisons," Elias said. "You'd be surprised what a Terran can get used to." Seryxa approached him, movements precise. "You do not respond like the others. No begging. No rage. No despair. Your neural activity, chaotic, unpredictable. Our psionics fail to map your intent." "Why?" "Because," he said, smiling without humor, "your people run on numbers. Ratios. Probabilities. You think emotion is weakness. But it's the opposite. You would rather burn than submit." "If it burns," Elias said, "let it burn." She stared. "Never look back," he finished. They called her Flame Killer in the Dominion, Seryxa the Dispassionate. She had inherited the Zyroth Hive throne by purging those whose impulses dulled strategy. Her entire empire ran on calculation, psychic conformity, and absolute suppression of the self. Emotion was a contagion. Fire was a metaphor they had expunged from their language. Yet this human burned in front of her. His memories, when she'd scanned them, were full of heat. Cities on fire. Lovers screaming. A child's lullaby turned to a war chant. And yet, no regret. He carried it all without flinching. Seryxa had interrogated species across 9 systems. None like this. She activated the neural collar. Elias grunted as electric current surged into his spine. Muscles tensed. But his eyes, his cursed, defiant eyes, never left hers. "Still trying," he said, through gritted teeth. "Cute. You confuse curiosity for mercy," she said. "I will dismantle your mind piece by piece, Captain." "I'm flattered," he whispered. "You haven't already." She deactivated the collar. He slumped, breathing hard, but still smirking. Something twisted inside her. Hours passed. Days. Time was a fluid concept on the Zyroth dreadnought Vorshek Eternum. Yet each moment Seryxa spent in Elias' presence unspooled something within her, a thread she could not trace back. She began visiting alone. She said it was for efficiency. He didn't buy it. "You're watching me burn," he said once. "And you don't know whether to smother it or jump in." Seryxa ignored him. She pulled memories instead. Battlefields. Broken childhoods. The scent of cinnamon on a winter morning. A kiss under Earth's red eclipse. Each one flickered across her mind like embers. She didn't understand why they stayed. In her chambers, she examined her own dreams, new, chaotic things she'd never experienced before. There was fire. There was flesh. Sometimes there was him. She summoned her grand strategist. "This human," she said, "has eluded full psychic penetration. He resists control, yet shares willingly. It is illogical." "Terminate him," the strategist said without hesitation, "before he corrupts more of the fleet mind." Her mouth opened, but no words came. The next visit, Elias was ready. "You've been dreaming," he said. She didn't respond. "That's the thing about fire. It doesn't stay in one place. It spreads. Even in ice. You speak in riddles." "No," Elias said. "You're just not used to feeling them." That night, she replayed his voice. Over and over. Like a forbidden melody etched into bone. For the first time in her reign, Queen Seryxa questioned a command she had never before hesitated to give. And in the cold silence of her throne, she whispered words she didn't understand. "If it burns." She didn't finish the thought. But the fire had already begun. The obsession algorithm. Queen Seryxa stood alone in the neural nexus, surrounded by a lattice of glowing synaptic threads. Thousands of Dominion thought processors whirred in perfect harmony, each one calculating the war's future with surgical precision. And yet, they were all wrong. She fed the system Captain Elias Wren's behavior logs, his words, tone inflections, biometrics. Each time, the prediction matrices fractured. Probabilities buckled. Results skewed erratically. The human defied every model. "This is unacceptable," she murmured. The strategist beside her bristled. His irrationality contaminates the processors. His emotional responses violate statistical logic. He must be purged. Seryxa did not respond. She dismissed him with a thought. Something deeper gnawed at her. Not just fascination. Not just danger. The truth was crueler. She was obsessed. In private, she rewatched the memory sequence for the 12th time. Elias, bloodied but smiling, whispering, "If it burns, let it burn." The phrase had no place in her world. Fire was chaos. Emotion was rot. And yet, his defiance, his refusal to yield, it echoed. She couldn't purge him from her thoughts. Not even in sleep. Seryxa began running cross-species comparative studies. Human literature. Their myths. Their art. Shakespeare. Revolution anthems. Death metal lyrics. Erotic poetry. She devoured it all. What struck her wasn't the structure, it was the irrationality. So much contradiction. Love and war. Passion and betrayal. Their leaders wept in public. Their soldiers died for ideals. Their poets wrote of beauty while burning cities to ash. There was no algorithm to predict them. No cage to contain them. No wonder Elias couldn't be broken. She returned to his cell. This time, she didn't activate the neural restraints. He stood, no longer in chains, eyeing her warily. "No collar today," he said. "You're spoiling me." "You are not dangerous," she replied evenly. He raised a brow. "You sure about that?" "No," she said. It was the first honest thing she'd ever said to him. He circled her, slow and deliberate, as if he were the one in command. "You've been digging into our stories. I can feel it. The way you move. You're not just observing anymore. You're trying to understand." "I require data," she said. "You are an anomaly." "No," Elias said softly. "I'm human. That's the part you don't get." "Help me get it, then." He stopped. "Why?" A long silence passed. Finally, she said, "Because I can't predict what you'll do next. And I must." His laugh was low and sharp. "See? That's the difference. You're still trying to map chaos. Humans don't predict fire. We become it." That night, in her isolation chamber, Seryxa felt the infection deepen. She was losing the voice of the hive. Her thoughts drifted where they weren't supposed to, toward sensation, toward dreams. Her sleep was haunted by fire. Flames licking cold metal. Terran cities burning like incense. A man in chains kissing her with smoke on his breath. She awoke trembling. Her hands clenched the edge of her throne as she fought the rising surge in her chest. Emotion. She was feeling too much. She summoned Elias again, this time to a private simulation chamber. No guards. No restraints. Just them. He looked around the empty environment, endless black. "What now?" he asked. "I want to understand," she said. "What?" "Pain. Lust. Rage. Choice." Elias stared at her. "You don't believe in choice, do you?" "In the Dominion," she replied, "choice is a myth. All paths lead to logic. All emotion is disorder." He stepped closer. "And now?" Seryxa blinked slowly. "Now I dream of burning." He leaned in, his breath warm on her face. "Say it," he whispered. "What?" "The words." She hesitated. Then, like a curse pulled from the depths of her throat, If it burns. He waited. Let it burn. Back in the Nexus, her strategists raised alarms. Her psychic link to the hive was fraying. Her thoughts were bleeding beyond sanctioned patterns. The Queen is contaminated, one declared. She must be reset. But she was already gone. Not physically. Psychically. She was elsewhere, her mind burning with words that had no translation, feelings that had no algorithm. In the dark, Elias' voice still echoed. You don't stop fire. You choose what to burn. And Seryxa, queen of cold logic, made a terrifying, human decision. She wanted to choose. Let it burn. The Xyrath dreadnought Vorshek Eternum cruised in low orbit above a scorched Terran moon, its hull gleaming like the blade of a surgeon's scalpel. Inside, chaos festered behind polished silence. Captain Elias Wren moved like a ghost through the reactor corridors, neural splicer in hand, mapping detonation nodes into the ship's power core. The plan was suicide, until the escape pod bay mysteriously unlocked. He knew who had done it. Seryxa. He didn't understand why. She found him near the fusion conduit, her frame silhouetted by the violet glow of the core. Unarmed. Unescorted. Security will be here in minutes, she said. Elias didn't look up. No, they won't. A flick of his wrist. Another detonation node armed. You disabled the alarms. I allowed movement, she corrected. Not destruction. He turned, eyes narrowed. You brought me here to watch me die. No, she said softly. I came to see if you would. They stood in the hum of pulsing energy, two sovereigns of fire and ice on the edge of cataclysm. You already made your choice, Elias said. The second you let me out of that cell. I did not choose rebellion. Yes, you did. You chose me. Seryxa's jaw tightened, her eyes unreadable. You are not a cause. You are a contagion. I didn't infect you, he said. You let me in. Flashbacks rippled through her thoughts, her sister weeping before the cleansing chamber. Her father's eyes before his memories were erased. The icy weight of command passed to her like a death sentence. For decades she had been perfect, cold, ruthless, infallible. And then a broken Terran operative had smiled through his blood and told her to burn everything. Now she wanted to. Elias tossed her a detonator. She caught it reflexively. What is this? She asked. Choice, he said. You want to understand humans? Make one. She stared at it, glowing softly in her palm. With one press, the ship would erupt, her command deck, her throne, her legacy, all gone. Why would I do this? She asked. Why destroy my empire? Because, Elias said, stepping closer, you're not their queen anymore. She didn't deny it. He took another step. Close enough to feel the flicker of energy between them. You've been dreaming of fire, he said. So now burn it. What comes after? Something real. You assume I want that. I know you do. She looked at him then, not with calculation, but with conflict. Her hands trembled. I killed my own blood for less than this, she whispered. You're not her anymore, he said. You're not what they made you. Her fingers hovered over the trigger, then fell still. No, she said. You push it. Elias shook his head. No. This isn't my war anymore. It's yours. A long silence. Then, click. A soft tone confirmed detonation sync. Seryxa had pressed it. For the first time in her life, she made a choice that wasn't sanctioned, calculated, or ordered. The dreadnought's alarms screamed to life. Power conduits overloaded. Emergency shields failed. Elias grabbed her hand. Pod bay. No. They ran. The ship exploded behind them in a blossom of ultraviolet fire, sending shockwaves through the stars. In the silence of space, beauty and death were the same thing. Inside the escape pod, Elias strapped himself in beside her. She stared out the viewport at the burning remains of her empire. She didn't cry. Her species had no glands for it. But the ache was real. And new. Congratulations, Elias said, breaking the silence. You're officially human now. I feel untethered. That's what freedom feels like. Her hand twitched. "I am afraid." "Good," he said. "Means it's real." The escape pod drifted toward a Terran salvage net, weeks away from retrieval. They sat together in silence, fire flickering in her eyes from the distant blaze. She turned to him, voice raw. "Do all humans feel this weight?" "Only the ones worth remembering." He reached for her hand. This time, she didn't pull away. "Never look back." The escape pod shuddered as it pierced the upper atmosphere of a forgotten Terran outpost, once a listening post, now little more than ash and wind. The sky outside bloomed red with dust storms. The pod's retrojets screamed as it slammed into the cracked surface. Inside, Elias and Seryxa sat in silence, surrounded by the hum of cooling metal. Neither moved at first. "I thought escape pods were supposed to land gently," Elias muttered, unbuckling his harness. "You are alive," Seryxa replied. "Be grateful." He chuckled, but it was hollow. The adrenaline had worn off. The silence between them now wasn't tension, it was aftermath. They climbed out onto the scorched earth. Seryxa stepped cautiously, her bare feet registering temperature, terrain, atmosphere. The air was breathable. The soil dead. The wind smelled faintly of iron and something older. Memory, maybe. Elias walked ahead, his back straight despite the bruises, the exhaustion. He didn't speak for a while. She followed. Finally, he stopped beside the remains of a comms tower, half swallowed by sand. "This used to be a city," he said quietly. "Before the first Dominion incursion. Before your fleets turned it into glass." Her expression didn't change, but her voice softened. "I remember the operation. It was efficient." "No," Elias said. "It was monstrous." She said nothing. He looked at her, not the weapon, not the queen, but the being behind the war mask. The one who had pressed the detonator. Who had chosen him. "I still don't trust you," he said. "Nor should you," she replied. "I don't know who I am anymore." He nodded, strangely satisfied. "Good. That's how it starts." They scavenged what they could from the ruins. Old rations, a cracked solar cell, remnants of human things. Photos. Words carved into stone. Names long lost to time. Seryxa studied it all with reverence, not analysis. There were no algorithms here. No predictions. Only echoes. They built a small camp under the remains of a steel awning, the stars slowly piercing the storm-torn sky above them. "You said once," she murmured by the firelight, "that humans become the fire. That you don't predict it. You choose it." He nodded. "It's not about destruction. It's about meaning." "And what was the meaning of all this?" she asked. "Your resistance. Your sacrifice. My fall." He looked into the flame. "To prove that control is a lie," he said. "And that even the coldest empires can melt." Days passed. They slept beneath the same broken sky, not as prisoner and queen, but as two remnants of opposing worlds, both burned, both rebuilding. Seryxa began to feel things she had no words for. Wonder. Regret. Desire. Hope. Sometimes she woke up breathless, dreaming of her own death, but it was always the old her, the one who ruled from shadows and statistics. That version was gone now. One morning, as a faint sun rose over the red horizon, she asked, "What happens to monsters after they stop being monsters?" Elias stared at the rising light for a long time. "They become stories," he said. "And if they're lucky, someone forgives them." Weeks later, a Terran scout ship found them, drawn by a fractured emergency beacon Elias had rigged from the comms tower. The ship hovered in place, unsure. Seryxa stood beside Elias, watching the ramp lower, soldiers in matte black armor advancing cautiously. "She's Dominion," one of them barked. "She dies here." "No," Elias said. "She saved my life. She ended the dreadnought. Without her, your cities would be ash." "She's the flame killer," another growled. Elias stepped between them. "Not anymore." Seryxa said nothing. She didn't plead. She didn't run. But she didn't bow either. She had chosen fire. Now she would choose to face the consequences. High Command wasn't merciful. But it wasn't blind. Seryxa was not executed. not imprisoned. Instead, she was exiled. Officially, she didn't exist. Unofficially, she became a quiet consultant, someone who knew how the Dominion thought, how it moved, how it broke people. But she didn't break anymore. She guided. Silently. From the shadows. Years passed. The war sputtered, fragmented, then finally died. Not with one battle, but with 1,000 slow withdrawals. Peace came, not with banners, but with silence. And in the quiet, 2 people rebuilt a life among the ruins. Not rulers. Not soldiers. Just fire-born souls who had finally learned. If it burns, let it burn. But once it's ash, never look back.